Everybody, this is Ray Flick, television beat writer for Bleeding Cool. Welcome you back once again to another edition of the Weekly Static. This is our 39th edition, and we have a lot of really wide-ranging topics to talk about. Now again, just to let you know how the Weekly Static works, we, and by we I mean the Weekly Static crew, which is myself, Trejo, Rocky, Bat-Murr, and Margo Staten, we get together, we take a look at the past week in Bleeding Cool's television coverage, and we look at 5 topics just randomly that we think are interesting, that we could add a little perspective on, or just kind of tweak things a bit to get you thinking about the topics in a different way. We do it in a top 5 manner, even though there is actually no ranking, so 5 is not necessarily worse than 1. It's just, I do this, I'm going to own it. I do this because John Cusack is my spirit animal, and because I'm a big fan of High Fidelity. And if you've ever seen it, you know the top 5 lists and everything he does. So I'm a big fan. So I just basically, it's an homage, which is a nicer way of saying I stole it from the movie. And side note, John Cusack, if you haven't seen his stuff, Better Off Dead, One Crazy Summer, High Fidelity, Grosse Pointe Blank. There's just a ton of stuff you got to check out. But anywho, this is going to be our 5 topics for this week, starting with number 5, and it has to do with Lethal Weapon. No, not the film franchise, the Fox television series. And for those of you who haven't heard, the lead, Crawford, Martin Riggs, I'm assuming he's applying way too much method acting to filming the season, because now word is that they're looking to replace him ASAP. And because of things that have gone on the set with some verbal and emotional abuse and a lot of other things, there are rumors that Damon Wayans, his co-star, isn't even talking to him now. Again, it's one of those situations where you're always going to find out the truth between what one side said and what other side said. I'll just say this. It's never good if you have to release a statement saying, well, the number of times I've been reprimanded is wrong. If it's not, I haven't been reprimanded, then I think we're just coming down to nitpicky. If it's a difference between, let's say, oh, no, they said it happened 6 times, it only happened 4 times. It happened. The other thing, too, I have to say, in 2018, it's much more of a cautionary tale than it even was back during the NYPD Blue David Caruso days. And for those of you who don't know, David Caruso was somebody who was an NYPD Blue, who was huge and was popular and decided, screw NYPD Blue, I'm going to go to the movies. And yeah, that's why he became a cautionary tale. He was forgiven and taken back, and that's why he was given CSI Miami and stayed on there for 270 years. But yeah, it's the cautionary tale. So be thankful when you have a project. Don't blow it in this day and age, because as much as there's a lot of opportunities with cable networks and streaming services and things like that, still doesn't mean that you're going to get opportunities if you get a bad reputation. That's number 5. Number 4. SCTV, Second City Television. SCTV, I was a huge fan growing up. Dave Thomas, Rick Moranis, oh my God, Catherine O'Hara, Eugene Levy, just so many great. I used to love it. And it's just the basic premise, based out of Canada, was they would make fun of television and movies, but they were also based out of this fictional television studio. Guy Caballero was the head sleazy guy in front of the station, and Martin Scorsese is actually putting together a very cool retrospective documentary about SCTV for Netflix. And the reason why I brought this up, because 1, because I'm a huge fan. 2, if you're a fan of Saturday Night Live and don't know SCTV, then you don't really know the full picture of being a Saturday Night Live fan. And also, Rick Moranis is coming out of his self-imposed retirement, self-imposed media exile to do this. And I just thought that was fantastic, because as much of the band as we can get back together, it would be fantastic. I'm really excited for that, and I can't wait. Again, it's an SCTV documentary on Netflix. So that's your number 4. Number 3, Cobra Kai is renewed for Season 2 less than 2 weeks after it premiered. It's blatant self-promoting. I'm doing the recaps, reviews, and everything for it. But again, I think this is a textbook on how you can do a sequel or a continuation series or something like that 34 years after the fact. And again, it can be heartfelt and cheesy at certain points, but I have to say, the language, the issues, and everything like that, adding a bit of an adult spin to it makes a world of difference. It keeps it from being corny, and the issues and everything else that they're confronting are very, very timely. They can cover issues from 34 years ago while still covering the issue of cyberbullying. And I think it's very effective, and props to Ralph Macchio and William Zabka, who just have a really good on-screen chemistry together that I don't think gets enough credit. So very happy about Cobra Kai getting Season 2. I know that's supposed to start filming in the fall, and it's going to be premiering sometime in, probably around this time in 2019. So I'm very excited. Keep my fingers crossed for that one. So that was number 3. Number 2, Sharknado. Folks, Sharknado 6 is going to be premiering in August on Sci-Fi, and to some, that's an announcement. To other ones, it's a threat and fair warning. I love me a whole bunch of crappy, cheesy movies, whether it's sci-fi, fantasy or horror. I mean, again, I don't know if there's a cheesy 80s horror movie I haven't seen. So that's not what I'm talking about. Not by any stretch of the imagination. What I don't like is that Sharknado, that it's manufactured, cheap, invented schlock. The best schlock is the stuff that people don't know it. They go to it earnestly. So it's cheesy and it's over top and it's crazy, but there's also kind of a sweetness to it. And that's what bothers me about Sharknado, is because I think the first one, they actually went into it somewhat semi-legitimate. And I think when they saw all the backlash to it, they were like, well, screw this. We're just going to go all in and just go over the top. And now it's just like, hey, what cool D-list celebrity can we get to kind of die in a weird or badly CGI'd way? So Sharknado 6, hey, congratulations. Again, I don't begrudge anybody their guilty pleasures. I hope everybody enjoys it. Let me tell you right now, I will not be watching it. I will not be on social media to read about it. I will pass. I will use that time to maybe read. Perish the thought. Crazy concept. So yeah, Sharknado's number 2. Number 1 is Brooklyn Nine-Nine, which I was not expecting to talk about, let alone for it to be number 1. But I was genuinely surprised by the cancellation of Fox announcement yesterday. They announced Brooklyn Nine-Nine, Last Man on Earth, and The Mick, which was another small surprise just because Caitlin Olsen and the It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia connection. But Brooklyn Nine-Nine, with the lineup and the cast and the critical reviews, and not just the critical reviews, the number of just actors and athletes and just across the pop culture spectrum who are big fans of the show and make no bones about it, and the guest stars they've been able to get on there. I was genuinely surprised. I'm sure, from what I've read, it's not a humongous ratings juggernaut. But it's one of those shows that you figure, especially with Fox, it keeps you connected with a lot of individuals that I figure it would be something that they would want to stay with. So I was really, really genuinely surprised. And I know Fox has been stepping up. I think they're picking up 3 pilots to series this season, but I really wasn't expecting that. But at least what it sounds like, good news to Brooklyn Nine-Nine fans, because it sounds like the show's going to get picked up. I know Hulu's interested. I know TBS is interested. I know a couple other either cable networks or streaming services are interested also. So I think if Andy and the gang want to get back together, I think they're going to have the opportunity to do it. I hope they do. I'll be honest, it's not a show I've stayed up on completely and as much as I'd like to, but it's one of those shows that when you watch, you can't help but really laughing at. So again, I keep my fingers crossed and hoping for Brooklyn Nine-Nine to find life. But hey, on a quick side note, props to AP Bio getting a season 2 pickup. Very excited about that. Okay, folks, my name, Ray Fluke, television beat writer for Bleeding Cool, thanking you for coming out and checking out the 39th edition of the Weekly Static, our constant work in progress. Hope you like the whole change in angles and things like that we're doing. Please let me know what you think by hitting me up down below or hitting me up where the video is posted. We'd much appreciated. And make sure you check out bleedingcool.com for anything and everything under the pop culture sun and across the pop culture landscape. Take care, folks. Have a great weekend.